In a world that is becoming increasingly dangerous for women, the rise of feminism and its propagation on social media. The question on paternity leave. Is it just as fundamental to the child as maternity leave? I look at the death row sentence in Kenya, its beginnings, its implications, and what led to its ultimate halt. Live from GBN, my name is Django Mwangi, and thank you for joining us today in 30 Minutes, as we cover some of the current topics in Kenya and around the world. Be sure to join the conversation today, as today's question is, do you support feminism? What do you think about it? Please let us know in the social media links. The first half of 2019 has seen emboldened feminists not only around the world but in Kenya. This has been propelled by the rising number of femicide cases in Kenya, the most recent one being that of Faith Omboy, who was murdered by her estranged lover. Our correspondent, Hope Tracy Njoroge, filed the following report.
In light of the alarming numbers of female killings, social media has become a channel for the spread of the feminist movement. Women taking a stand against sexual harassment, gender-based violence, and killings. This has evidently caused a great divide, some arguing that feminists are forcibly putting across their ideas. Mainstream media is unfortunately reporting the news in an over-sensational manner. Social media site Twitter has been perhaps the greatest propagator of these ideas. I was able to collect some opinions on the topic.
What I think about feminism. First of all, I am not yet a feminist. I would say that I'm not yet a feminist because I haven't yet felt the people who are genuinely feminist, I'm not yet. I feel like the minute I get exposed to a certain environment, then I really have the chance to become a feminist because I feel like it's in every woman to have the whole feminism. I don't know what to call it, but feeling, of just supporting the female gender. So yes, maybe not now, but I do believe it's yet to come.
And now Hope Tracy Njoroge joins us in studio. Welcome. It's clear that the number of killings are on the rise.
Well, not just killings in general, but women also.
That's true, and seemingly the media, which is supposed to be the watchdog of the people, is failing.
Well, unfortunately, mainstream media most of the time looks at it from a very patriarchal angle, hence the migration to social media.
The feminist movement is not something new, of course, with movements such as the #MeToo movement in Kenya, the My Dress, My Choice movement. We've seen the works of feminism for quite a while now.
Feminism has been brought about by a number of factors, and unfortunately factors that entail women losing their lives, dignity, and even human rights.
However, I believe there's light at the end of the tunnel, and feminist movements are somehow making great strides to a change in society. Thank you, Hope Tracy, for your insights. Women use social media to push for gender balance across all sectors. With me today is someone who may help us demystify feminism. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Maybe before we go any further, could you explain to us what feminism means and what it entails?
Feminism to me is just basically women trying to fight for more equality across all sexes, that human rights, basic rights, certain dignities should not be, given to you because you're either a man or woman or however you identify, but they should be fair across the board and just really it mainly pertains to fighting for women's rights, equality, empowerment, and just fairness. We should all be on a fair ground, fair level as we interact in this world.
Now, how important is the role of social media in the spread of feminism?
I'd say personally that social media really has done a lot in educating you because, for example, Twitter, very information that is easy to consume in around 240 characters. You're able to learn so much and learn a lot. You're also able to create awareness, and the reach is amazing. So I generally do think social media is a good platform for you to raise awareness on such issues, feminism included.
According to you, why do you think it's so important for all women to become feminists? Or first of all, do you think it's important for everyone to become a feminist?
Especially if you identify as a woman, it's important for you to want a fair ground as you go about your day-to-day activities, whether it's in looking for a job, in partnerships, in fair wages, or any other area of your life. You need to be a feminist, otherwise you will not be able to get some of the rights that you deserve as a human being. So I generally do believe, as a woman especially, and even if there are men out there who would like to identify as feminist, it's really important.
Do you think media is doing enough to cover the acts of crimes against women like femicide happening?
Okay, I personally, a lot of times I don't think the media covers it well enough. It almost always looks like a joke, or how they frame, for example, rape victims, if they always have to have something before identifying the victim, or they want to hide the aggressor's name. It's not taken as a generally serious issue. It just looks like it's another matter to report on. No much investigation is done. For example, if the woman was drunk, or if it's a child, even, for example, they'll say man tries to have sex with a 15-year-old, and not man tries to rape a child. Like, it's taken very casually in the media. So yes, they've highlighted it, but they still have a lot of work to do in terms of phrasing it, and even using their platforms as media to educate people on why femicide is wrong, and just these issues in general. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, Tracy.
The Employment Act 14 grants fathers with full pay to attend to their newborn babies for 2 weeks. Some employers, however, turn a blind eye to their employees who have recently sired. The question remains whether paternity leave should be taken as seriously as maternity leave. One of our correspondents filed the following reports.
If you compare to the UK, a recently curated policy allows for both parents to the same number of leave days. According to a recent study, increasing the leave available for parents is good for child development and gender equality. This is what people had to say about paternity leave.
Yes, because those who have to be part of the child's life.
Perhaps the question will remain for a while. Is a father important in the early development stage of a child? Many may disagree, but the fact remains that better policies should be put in place to ensure an ideal development of a child. Kelvin Karanja reporting for GBN News.
With me today is a new father as he discusses his experiences. Thank you for joining us. How has your experience been as a father, first of all?
My experience as a father has been good. It's a new experience, and it's been enjoyable, sometimes frustrating, but mostly happy. It's a happy experience.
Did your company give you paternity leave? And if so, was there any trouble getting it?
Being self-employed, I give myself paternity leave. We give ourselves breaks depending on the situation. Depending on the situation that arises and the emergency that is there. So in this event, I give myself 3 weeks maternity leave.
Do you think it's important for the father to be present in the first stages of development of a child's growth?
It is very important to be present as a father in at least the first 2 months of a child's life. Basically to start the momentum of the newborn, to give support to the mother. So it is very important, yes.
Welcome back. A death verdict by a court in 2018 on Ruth Kamande, who had been accused of murder, had many questioned the validity of the death sentence in Kenya, given that the last executions to take place were in 1987. One of our correspondents filed the following report.
According to Amnesty International, there are at least 158 people on death row at the Community Maximum Prison. The death penalty, however, remains a controversial one, many questioning the right of the state to deliberately kill a person. People sentenced to death live for years, not being allowed to work as a normal prisoner. I had the chance to gather a few opinions concerning the knowledge of the people on death sentence.
I'm aware that the death sentence has changed to life imprisonment, so nowadays people are not hanged, they're just imprisoned for life. Yeah, that's all I know.
Recording? No, I didn't know who you are.
It may remain a mystery as to why criminals are put through the agony of having to live at the death sentence, not knowing what lies ahead. Chantal Wanjiko reporting for GBA.
As much as the death penalty is a punishment that was abolished years ago, the fact that convicted criminals are still sentenced to this, remains under question. And people may wonder whether it has significance today. With me today is a corrections officer. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Maybe you could tell us why the sentence is still passed along.
The death sentence is still passed along in Kenya as a capital punishment. Capital punishment, ideally in Kenya, doesn't necessarily have to be the death sentence. Capital punishment is the maximum punishment that the state will give the prisoner who has been an accused who has been convicted. So hence that's why the death sentence is still passed along in Kenya, but as a capital punishment in Kenya's understanding.
How differently are the convicts convicted to death sentence treated from the normal convicts?
From my understanding, or as a human being, definitely. Because once you're given a death sentence, stroke and or a capital punishment, that in itself makes you a bad person, lack of a better one. So definitely they're going to be put in separate, different prisons to start with for people who have been sentenced, who have been awarded, lack of a better word, capital punishment. So the prisoners have a separate prison, and definitely I'm sure even from their interactions they'll be treated differently.
What crimes, I could say, are eligible, that make one eligible, to be sentenced to death?
So in the penal code, the code that governs the criminal offences in Kenya, there are some offences that attract the capital punishment, such as robbery, violence, or treason, or there are various punishments that are murder, manslaughter sometimes. There are some serious offences committed under the penal code that attract the offence of the sentence of capital punishment. Yes. So from the penal code, basically it's the serious offence.
Thank you for joining us today. That's all from us here at GBN. My name is Django Mwangi, and see you next time. Have a good night.